You are listening to the Barry Long audio, Physical Love and the Noble Man, formerly titled Gold Coast Talk, April 1993. For more information, visit www.barrylong.org.
If you think I look a little bit like the local sheriff with this leather jacket or this leather vest on, perhaps it's got something to do with the fact that in about 3 weeks or so I'll be in Santa Fe, New Mexico, perhaps deep in the heart of the Wild Wild West. So welcome to another day of being, in the course of being. And today I'm going to talk about a few things, if I can just presage those. Whether we'll get to them all, I don't know. Or whether they'll run into each other, I don't know, but that doesn't matter. It just gives you an idea of what I have in mind. 1. Hell. I'm going to describe hell in your experience, so you won't be so attached to it. For everybody seems to love their hell while saying they don't. 2. Then I'll talk about what about me, or how you can recognize you're about to descend into hell. Then 3, reversing the human condition by knowing what I don't want rather than knowing what I do want, which seems to be everybody's problem. Then, perhaps 4, we'll get that far, to physical love-making and virtue. And 5, love is a battlefield, but not a battleground, unless you want to make it that. And I've got a rather long piece here to do, and that's about the apparent contradictions in my teachings on love, brought to my attention by 2 letters from 2 different women, one in England and one in Holland, within a few days of each other. So where shall I start? Well, first of all, I suggest that we start at the beginning, and the beginning is always in this body, which I call me now. So let's begin there by going into my body, which then disappears, and into me. So me is inside my body. Me is that intimacy where I say, look what you've done to me if I'm feeling hurt, or this is beautiful to me, where I feel beauty or sweetness or rightness. The place that the doctor has never yet found inside my body, which is me, where I love. So let us go in there, and the way to do that, I suggest first of all, is to ease the body tension in a situation where we are a group together, and where you come out of the world, where you're standing in the mirror now, and what we're going to do now is to walk through the mirror. You know that Alice in Wonderland story? Well, it's not just a story. You've got to do it. You've got to actually go through the mirror into the other world on the other side of that. And that place is me, which, as I say, the doctor has never ever found it. No matter how often he cuts open the body, no matter how much he cuts into every organ, every piece of flesh, he can never find me, because he's always on this side of the mirror, and we are going into the other side, what is called the other. So let us do this, and to approach this rightly we must relax the body so that the body doesn't impose any strains on me and distract me. And the best way to do that is to breathe deeply and rightly. And to breathe deeply and rightly is first of all to breathe out and empty the lungs right out, and then breathe into the diaphragm or the belly with an easiness that is very enjoyable. because it is very natural to breathe easily and rightly. 3 or 4 times, and that allays the tensions rising in the body from being on this side of the mirror, which is very, very tense affair. And then to close the eyes, so that as much as the resources possible of my perception or my intelligence is then focused inside my body onto that extraordinary place of darkness or nothing which I call me. And here, having seen that there is nothing in me, that the doctor will never ever expose me, for only my intelligence can expose me, and here I am looking into it, and I see that there is nothing in me, then I can use the other mode of my intelligence and feel if there's any good in me. Ah, what a silly question. Is there any good in me? Of course there is. For I love life, and that is good in me. And it is sweet to be alive. That is good in me. And I have well-being in me. No matter what stresses and strains I feel coming from the others, this side of the mirror where I was a minute ago, on this side, the other side of the mirror, which is in me, peace begins to descend upon me, or I begin to descend into peace. For I here am peace, and it is good to be in me, or it is good to be me. Stay with me, be me. Do not think, for then you will think about the other side of the mirror and you will leave me. Just stay with me and enjoy this extraordinary place, where I am no longer dependent on any thought, any person, anything, and I can descend into the reality that is always me. What a relief it is. This is the other side they speak of. But no mind can reach here with its thinking or its analysis, its analyzing, its judgment. Only I can reach me here, being still, silent, descending into me, into peace. This is the acknowledgement or affirmation of my reality. I acknowledge it with my being, by doing it, by being it. And what I acknowledge, I become. I become in the sense I make it beautiful. For if something becomes me, it reflects the beauty of me. So this becomes me. Now be easy. Just sink into me. There's nothing to think about, nothing to do. Just be. Now don't think. If you think, you jump into the other side of the mirror out there into the world. Now come on. Come through the mirror again. Sink into me. There is nothing arising in me. It is just good, or it is sweet, or it is nothing, which is peace. Nothing arising is peace. This is everybody's reality, so nothing is being imposed on you that is not the truth. Each one of you is peace underneath the restlessness of the mind. Be still and know that I am peace, that this peace is me inside the body listening to these words. Enjoy me. Don't think, don't be distracted. Stay in the nothing which is me. Enjoy me. Be still, enjoy me. Don't try to work anything out. There's nothing to work out. Be still. Be easy. By doing this, by being still, by being able to stand my own stillness, my own peace, I am acknowledging peace. I'm acknowledging the sweetness and the rightness that is in me, that is me. And by acknowledging it, I make it stronger and more real. For what I acknowledge, I become. And when you do this with me who is speaking to you now, it is far more real, for I give you the reflection of me out here, which is me in the stillness and silence of the only me that there is, inside that body listening to these words. This is an apparent contradiction, but it is not so. For I speak to you only of love and truth, and as me is love and truth inside that body. Therefore there is no distinction except the appearance and the externality of me. If the whole world only spoke about me, the sweetness and wonder that is inside that body listening to these words, then the whole world would be me, and only then would there be peace upon the earth. But as you know, the whole world reflects restlessness, doubt, and fear, and greed. And so when I look around in the mirror of the world and look for peace, the reflection of my own being, I can only find it possibly in nature or in the sky. But there is very little on this earth apart from nature that reflects peace and the sweetness of me. So in one sense I am very much alone out there, unless I can find a mirror, perhaps a man or a woman, to reflect in love the sweetness and peace in me. And that is what we are all looking for, a living reflection of the peace that I have lost because of my restless mind. But here I can find it now, this moment, and that's all that counts, this moment. Here I am in touch with me. Here I am me. The end of restlessness. The end of needing to be anything, to become anything. Just the sweet presence of the stillness of my own being. Now in your own time, still staying with me, still being me, open your eyes and enter the world of many objects and many things. But still stay with me, which is the other side of the mirror, and put your foot into this side of the mirror, and now you can be in both worlds at once. It is not easy not to put all your weight on the one foot out here. But that's what we're doing, isn't it? That's what the divine or spiritual life is about. Learning to have a foot in both worlds, so that I am no longer divided, that I am present within and without at the same time. Good. So stay with me. And we will talk about self. We will talk out here, we have to talk about self. And so as I talk about self, you will be following me with yourself, and you will have self-knowledge. I will affirm your knowledge of yourself. And as I know myself, I don't have any problem with myself. It's only when I don't know myself that I have this dichotomy, this separation. What's going on? Why do I feel like this? What's wrong with me? That's because I don't know myself. As I know myself, no problem. I have no problem with myself. So let's talk about hell. It's a common expression. People often say, I've been in hell or I'm in hell. What do they mean? Well, let's see in your experience. You follow me in your experience because that's self-knowledge, isn't it? In your experience of yourself, follow me. See if it's true. Don't believe a word I say. See if it's true. When someone says, I'm in hell, it means that inside their body, not the body that the doctor can ever open up, inside me, there is something struggling. Something actually hitting up against the walls, the psychological walls of what appears to be the body. There is emotion. This, of course, this emotion, this place that I'm talking about, is in the dark. For all emotion lives in the dark. It is that world inside of me that if I close my eyes now, that is the end of all light. And that's the beginning of the descent in this extraordinary world inside my body. And the first part of it is my subconscious. That is the world just underneath my conscious mind, which I have when my eyes are open. It is a dark world. No starlight at all, obviously, for the only starlight occurs out here. That is where the emotions, the pains of the past, live in me as discrete or separate little pieces of emotion or hurt. And they enjoy this world of the dark down there. But because all emotion was given life by me in this body in the past, the emotion from time to time has an irresistible drive to rise up into the senses where it was born from. Some argument with a lover. While I was looking out of these eyes arguing with my lover, this emotion was formed as hurt, as pain. When my mother and father mistreated me, and I looked out of these eyes innocently as a child, an emotion was formed in me. Not out here, not out here, on the back of my hands or on the back of my flesh, not out here. Obviously, that hurt occurred inside of me. And so, a little entity of hurt developed in my subconscious. And there are many, many of them down there, in the dark. But they are limited. These emotions, these hurts, these subconscious psychic entities, these demons, because they become demons very quickly. These are the demons of the underworld. These are the demons of hell. They are limited by the inside of my body. They cannot get out. They are locked up inside my body, just as truly as if they were locked up under lock and key inside a jail cell. So they lie asleep down there, or they just go around in the dark. But as soon as some circumstance occurs outside in my external world, which suggests that very pain from which they arose, a harsh word, a broken love affair, anything that reminds me of that past emotion immediately goes in right down into the dark and hits against that little emotion. That little emotion thinks that is a call up. It wants to come up and see, and so it comes up into my brain. And once it gets to my brain, I become that emotion. I become restless, unhappy, weeping. What's wrong with me? What's happened to me? An hour ago I was all right. What's happened to me now? And then I endeavor, by living the divine life, as I teach it, to get this emotion back where it came from, down into the dark, get it out of my brain. So I surrender. I stop thinking about what it wants me to think about, going round and round in circles, which gives it momentum. Try to get it down into the dark, back. But it still doesn't leave me. It still goes down into the dark. There, because I am true to me, I am endeavoring to be true to that place inside you that you just went, where it is still, and it is beautiful, and it is peaceful, and it is right and true. That place is underneath my subconscious, and it is fathomless, and I can go down into there and feel this peace. But these demons are running around inside the dark, hemmed in by my body, and knocking up against my body here and there and here and there, trying to get away from the light which my intelligence brings into this dark, where they hide when I am endeavoring to be true to me, the truth of love. These demons hate the light. So what do when they feel the light of my stillness and my presence, as I endeavour to hold the truth, the light on them? A light that has no light, that can only be expressed as my intelligence and my unwavering will to be true to me, where we have just been inside that body. These demons cannot stand the light. They want to hide in the dark, where they can have little secrets and make my mind think about little secrets, have a dialogue with them, which keeps them alive and well and interested and nourished. But when I refuse to think about them or try to work them out, the light then is stronger and stronger, and they hate it. Then they start giving trouble, don't they? The purer I become, in the sense that I am able to look in them, the more troublesome they become. They fly around their prison, which they cannot get outside my body. It is impossible for them to get outside. They hit up against there. I can feel myself sweating. I can feel great heat sometimes as they race around in there. I can say, my God, will I ever be free of this? Why can't I stop thinking? Why can't I stop worrying? Why can't I stop this? How can you when the demons are running around in the dark? They're trying to escape the light. That's hell. And because they are a part of me, until the greater part of me is peace and truth and the rightness of the light in me, the steadfastness of the will to be true. Until I am that sufficiently, I have to identify with these demons. Because they are part of me. They're not someone else's demon, they're mine. And this is my hell. As I suddenly switch my identity over and I become them. And I say, I can't stand it. I say to my lover or my whatever it is, the argument that I can't stand it. I've got to get out. I'm going. I'm clearing out now. It's not your body that's saying that. It's not your peace that's saying that. It's the demon saying, I want to get out of this body. But the truth is it can't get out of the body, can it? So what does it do? It moves the body. And so we run out the door and slam the door, thinking we're escaping from the demon, and yet the demon is driving our body. And we get outside having used some energy, something used up some of this potential of demonic energy in action. What happens? Often I feel, what am I going to do now? I'm outside the door. I don't really want to be out here. I'd like to be back there. But then often the demon gets in the head and starts working it up again through the generation of thought, getting its own momentum up again. It starts to think about how hard done by you were by the other party, having a conversation with itself which generates more emotion, and then you generate a willfulness, not a will, a willfulness that says stubbornly, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. Now in this situation it could be snowing, if you happen to be in a northern climate, and you could walk resolutely and willfully and stubbornly into the snow, and your poor little body could get a death of cold. Because of your willfulness, because you wouldn't go back and face the music, the circumstance, and not allow this demon to drive you into a further hell. For you have to face it one day, for it is only a part of your own self. That's hell. And every time it comes up, these demons, they are so painful. Every one of us has wanted to run. For God's sake, it's so painful to have the past hurt reappear in the present now, in this body. The past, it is so painful that I don't want to face it. But living the divine life it is best to face it now. Get it over with. For everyone must face their self. There is no freedom for anyone until I have faced myself. For the only enemy is myself. Myself is always in the past, never in the present. There is nothing that anyone can do to me psychologically or mentally that is in the present. There are certain actions that can come forth, so that if I walk in and see my lover making love to someone in the room as I open the door, there is nothing that they are doing to me whatever. They are doing nothing whatever to me. It is me that is putting my past expectations of what love was, my false ideas of love, my selfishness, my what about me, onto the sexual act. My own sexuality says, what about me? How can you make love to him? Like that. What about me? And the answer is, of course, well, what about you? I'm making love to him. What about you? But what about me? Sexuality, I'm missing out. So I put my past hurt and pain, because I really believed my parents. I really believed the whole rotten, stinking society, what it said about love. And so I put my selfishness onto the fact that these two are making love. And I say, what about me? I'm missing out. I'm not getting any of that stuff. Why aren't I getting it? When the question is, well, why is she making love to him if you're her lover? Why? That'd be a better question, wouldn't it? That might get us closer to the truth. But no, I don't want to hear that. What about me? I'm missing out. Which is the definition of sexuality. So that brings us, I think, to the second thing here. Yeah. Then I'll talk about what about me, or how you can recognize when you're about to descend into hell. So the next time you have the feeling, what about me? The feeling of missing out. You're about to descend into the underworld, the world of the dark, where all the demons live, the demons of yourself. Well, they're filled, each one of them is made of what about me? Such as when I was a boy or a girl, and everybody was going to the party, and for some reason I couldn't go. What about me, Mummy? Oh, yes. Or as a teenager, when all the girls or boys seemed to be getting you telling stories about making love. And I wasn't. And I really believed them. And I got this feeling in me, what about me? I'm being left behind. What about me? Disaster. Utter and complete disaster in the making. If you want to make love, go and make it. Nothing's stopping you. Go make it. Don't worry about what about me. Go and do it. Too easy. Too easy. What about Mum and Dad? Well, that's the same as saying, what about me? You're mature, though. You're not girls and boys. And girls and boys have to have the guidance of Mum and Dad until the boys and girls are old enough to earn their own living and support themselves, which is a pretty good general rule. But you are able to support yourselves. You are a mature man and woman. And every time you say, what about me? It means that you are going to descend into hell. What is the cure for what about me? Well, don't put myself onto the present situation. If I am having an argument with my partner, and I say, I'm sick and tired of these arguments, the question is, what is the argument about? Why are the two of you arguing? Not what about, how about why? The demons hate the word why. Because why is quite simple. Why are you and I, woman, arguing? Let us be still. What am I doing to you that makes you want to try to say something to me? What am I doing? Tell me. Then I might get some truth into this matter. But if I want to accuse you, it's my demon wanting to put itself onto you. And if I say I love you, love being this. If I live with you, I say I live with you because I love you. What other value are you going to put to love? Is that a fair enough value? I don't live with the guy next door, so I could say, well, I don't love you enough to live with you. So if I live with you, it has to mean where I come from, I love you. Or, if I love you, if I say to any man or woman that I love you, I live with them in the sense that I'm with them every moment. I don't leave them. I'm with them in truth and love. And I'm available to them, to help them, to guide them, to give every assistance, to give and give and give. That's what love means to me. going back to if I live with someone. Why do I live with them? To have arguments? Or to get to the bottom of why are we arguing? And then, what am I doing to you? What old past hurt that my mother, father, or society, or a past lover put into me, what am I putting onto you? Because you owe me nothing, woman. Man, you owe me nothing. If I think you owe me anything, it's because of my selfishness that wants to put my missing out, my what about me onto you. You owe me nothing, man. You want to go, you go. You love me and stay, that's beautiful. Woman, you want to argue with me? What do you want to do? You want to stay or you want to go? Or will you tell me what I'm doing to you, that I here am doing to you, not that you are doing to yourself? Because you will find that you are putting yourself onto the situation. Or I, man, I'm not listening to you, and I'm putting myself onto you. Which is it? And we will each take turns in doing the same thing. So we've got to find out and be honest enough each time that one of us puts itself on the other. We have to be open enough to say, what am I doing to myself? So what about me? Now, whenever I am moody, resentful, jealous, guilty, what I am saying is, I am missing out. What about me? Have you got that? Could I say it any clearer? Any time I am impatient in love, any time I want as an emotion, any time I'm, yes, resentful, guilty, moody, I am saying I'm missing out. So what I want to know as your partner, what are you missing out? If you are moody, it means you're missing out. You're restless and you're disturbed because you are missing out. You have some sexual energy in you, we will find. Some selfishness. You want to be loved, let's say. For all moody people expect to be loved while they're moody, mind you. While they're moody, they think, I ought to be loved. You can see how ridiculous that is, because the demon, the hurt in the past, has got into the mature body and says, the cure for my insecurity and anxiety and mood is because I wasn't loved, so the cure is to be loved. But it is quite obvious that that which wasn't loved and comes up as mood and not as humility and sweetness, that comes up as mood and puts on this grey and ugly black face and emanates this rottenness, is asking to be loved. And the truth is, it is not worthy of being loved, because a demon cannot be loved. But a demon has to be faced. And I have to know that when it comes up, it's a sense of missing out. And if I can only face the truth that it is the past putting itself on the present, the past will subside gradually in time, and I will desist from putting the past on the present more and more. Then I am able to face these demons correctly, which is every feeling of missing out, of guilt, or whatever it is due to a past emotion of ill treatment of me, or the perceived ill treatment of me. Therefore, I have to open up my whole body psychically. Just like now, open up. and allow no hidden areas inside of me. What is your hidden area that you haven't spoken about? What is it that you are afraid to mention? What is it that you want, that you dream about having yet never let on to anyone? What is it? Because that's where you feel you're missing out. And that has to come out, or it's going to make you feel that you're missing out on something in life. What is it that you want to do, man or woman? Then do it, or face it and see that it's not the truth. Or do it. Have the guts to do it, even if it kills you. At least you'll be free of that particular drive, emotional drive of missing out, that I haven't done it, therefore I'm with this woman and I've got something over here that I really want to do, but I'm with her. Do you think this thing's going to go away? Not on your life, it's not going to go away. It's going to lie down there, and you're going to feel while ever you're with this woman, and that's down there, that my life's not complete, something's missing, and so you won't be able to give yourself to her anyway. And she psychically will know it. So what is it you want to do? You've got to live your life out. You can't be afraid of living your life, because the fear of living your life is the very thing that stops you from being free. And yet you've got to see, what is imagination? Do I need any more? Do I need any more experience as a need? What do you need to do? What do you need to do? If you really need to do it, as youth has to have a lot of experience. So youth is driven to have experience. It wouldn't matter how much youth comes to me, I cannot give it the experience that it has to have, unless it truly loves me and gives itself utterly and completely to me, to the truth that I am. Then I can take its need of circumstantial experience from it and reduce that, so that it doesn't have to go out into the world and get experience, which means what? Suffering. All experience leads to suffering. But then it is the human spirit that rises above the suffering and then retains the experience which is necessary for us to be able to cope with the world. But you've got to be mature to gain experience without gaining the emotion that goes with the pain of that experience. Such as you go and get a job, and it all seems so fine and good, but sooner or later someone in that work is going to make you emotional. The boss or an employee or someone connected with the work is going to bring into that experience some pain. It doesn't matter what youth tries to do. As youth tries to wear all the same caps, I notice it all over the world, it's extraordinary. These peak caps, you know. And wherever I go, I keep asking the same question. You've heard me ask people at these meetings, these same caps. That experience is going to lead them to unhappiness, because they're followers of a cult, a youthful cult which thinks, well, if I join them, it'll be all right. But it won't be, of course, because they'll get frustrated. And that experience will lead to frustration, because the image that they base themselves on is a phantom. And life is not a phantom. And so they try to be manly, or they try to be this, or they try to swagger along. It's not the truth. So it leads to unhappiness, because they say, well, I'm not like him. Gosh, I got the same cap on, but I'm not like him. Of course you're not like him, but that's the pain of experience. Trying to be like him. Trying to be like anyone. Trying to copy anyone. But youth's got to do that, as we all did. Now be steady and be still. There are many things that you hope for or want to do that are not real, they're phantoms. Have the courage to do it. And if you can't do it, then don't think about it ever again. And that particular phantom, because there are demons and there are phantoms. A phantom can't hurt you. A phantom's just a notion, an idea, or like a ghost, there's a phantom that has no power to hurt you, just as an image like a slide projected on the wall. The phantoms are okay. But if you keep thinking about them, you give them substance. And a phantom can turn into a demon that will come between you and your partner because you'll be thinking about what you should have done or should be doing. But if it's just a phantom, get rid of it. If it's a substantial drive, endeavour to get rid of it if you don't want to be drawn into that. But otherwise, go and do it. For better or for worse. The life goes on. Okay. Now, that brings me to I'm going to go into these letters, and I talked about it as number 5, the apparent contradiction in my teaching on love. These are the 2 letters. There are 2 letters from woman in 2 different countries within a few days. And one woman from England said, I am confused about woman as teacher. This is referring to my teaching. In my experience, woman is born to be a teacher, for I say woman cannot teach man. She teaches her young to begin with, and her being as teacher spreads out from there. One way or another, she is teaching all the time. At least I seem to be. You seem to be saying woman cannot teach. Could you clarify this for me, please? Also, why shouldn't she? So that's the letter from the English woman making that point. Now the Dutch lady is a professional writer, and she's just written a book in Dutch for a Dutch publisher. It'll be published in a couple of months, and it's called something like Man Without Moods, or The Real Man, and the final chapter of the book is on Barry Long. And she says, on a deep level, she's touched and recognises the truth of what I say, for she does endeavour to live my teaching. But on a mental level, she says, the level at which I write professionally, I am confused by what you say. It seems contradictory. And then she mentions 4 points. 1, woman is love. 2, woman is responsible for love. These are statements that I've made. 3, woman cannot teach man. Same as the other lady. And 4, woman has to be mastered by man who knows what he's doing. Could you please clarify these for me? Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read you my reply. It's what might be called a seminal reply, in that it covers a vast range of woman's and man's experience of love, all related to those 4 points that the woman has made. So we're going to take it easy. It's quite a long letter, because when I get onto these letters, they get fairly long. But it's a life experience, and I want you to follow it in your own experience and see if it's the truth, and see if I impart something to you. For the love of man and woman is really the only problem on this earth. So I say to this lady, I was writing to the Dutch lady, I understand your confusion about my statements that seem contradictory, and I'll endeavour here to unite the 4 points you raise. And the 4 points you raise were these. 1. Woman is love. 2. Woman is responsible for love. 3. Woman cannot teach man. 3. And 4. Woman has to be mastered by man, who knows what he's doing. Continuing my letter. 1 and 2. That is, woman is love and woman is responsible for love. I'm addressing that. I say, woman is love, her nature. Love is woman's nature. Her character is her responsibility. So woman's love is her nature, and her character is her responsibility. This responsibility is to be the custodian of love on earth. In your letter you write, quote, "It is my responsibility as a writer to write in such a way that some deeper understanding comes across to the reader." Unquote. And I go on. You will notice the word responsibility. In this instance, you have identified yourself as a writer, just as I have defined woman as love. And you have used the word responsibility to define the character of a writer, which, in your words, is to, quote, "convey some deeper understanding to the reader." In my parallel of woman and love, you will now see that the responsibility of woman as love is to convey the reality of love, her nature. The key, of course, in understanding the meaning behind is in the understanding of the meaning behind the words I've used. I define love or writer as the nature, and the responsibility in both cases as the character. A man or woman of character, you check this, won't you? A man or woman of character is a man or woman who takes responsibility for being what they are. And in the extreme, which is the love or woman that I am involved with, will die for it. If you look at the loose way in which character is referred to in the world, you will still see behind it this element of uncompromising virtue. A man or woman of a character is a man or woman who will die for what they are. So woman is love. And to be real, she must be responsible for love unto death. And who is there to convey it to? None other than man. 3. Now the third point, that woman cannot teach man about love. She cannot tell him what to do or what not to do in the way that a teacher tells or instructs. Such an attempt involves projection, which is a male trait, and will eventually make her emotional, that is, forcibly projective. This is out of character with love, her nature, to be forcibly projective. So woman is not in character or responsible when she tries to instruct man or bully him emotionally in this way. Being out of character, she will not only make herself emotional, but will stir defensive emotion or resistance in the man. He will see her as a reflection of himself, and it repels him to see this in woman, his love. All men recoil from women's emotion because it is fundamentally a male projection. and man forever craves his opposite. 4. Woman has to be mastered by man who knows what he is doing. This statement refers to a master of love such as myself. It is rare indeed for a woman to come into the company of a living master and for him to agree to master her, that is, to take her on. So this point refers to very few women on earth who are given the opportunity. The master actually masters her in love. He does this by taking the male sexual projection out of her, which expresses itself in her efforts to, quote, teach, unquote, man to love her by being emotional, argumentative, demanding, etc. This emotional projection in woman is fundamentally sexual. And sex, as a projection or emotional wanting, is not love. Sex has been put into woman by sexual man, and she is now confused most of the time about what she is and what she's not. The answer, of course, is that she is love. And for her to realize this, or manifest it in the world, she must be cleansed of the male sexuality she has come to accept as herself. The master masters her, purifies her by his love and truth. Like a surgeon, he removes the female penis, the seething emotion which she has unwittingly acquired. He loves her to return her to the original state of love, virtuous and pure, which God created her as woman, a maiden, a virgin once again, irrespective of all her past experience with men. In other words, he works to return her to her Godhead, what once on earth would have been called the state of goddess. In every man, deep down beneath all his sexuality, which manifests as fear of love, greed, selfishness, wanting and trying, there is the pure state of knowledge of God or virtue. But he cannot realize this uninterruptedly while he still indulges in sexual excitement and fantasy, which most men do today. He just feeds his self, which becomes his distance from love and his own virtue. His distance from his own virtue. He is then a long, long way from home, the timeless place of love or God out of which he came. To convey love to man, powerful and real enough to remove his selfishness, is the responsibility I speak of as woman's task. Wherever there is love in woman, he will eventually put his sexuality on it and manipulate or undermine it. He does this because he wants to control her, which is a faint echo of the divine impulse in him to master her in love. But to control anything is not mastery. The master does not control. He masters by love, and his subject is always free and only submits to his love and truth because she knows it is the love and truth she has always longed for. Man, however, tries to control woman by making her doubt herself, by brute strength, by economic superiority, and particularly by addicting her to sexual excitement. He substitutes sexual excitement for the profound passion and presence of love. So what is the way out? How can man and woman break the vicious circle? The only hope for them both at this time on earth is woman, pure woman. So now I give you the fifth point, which is, woman must be in command of love. To be in command of love, woman must be purified of her reliance on emotionality as communication. She must be freed of herself, her love of her sentimental and negative emotions. She must be freed of the romantic dream of love she has concocted to compensate for man's lack of love. She must be reconnected enduringly with God, the reality of love and truth on this earth. Ultimately, this can only be done by her being willingly mastered in love by the Master. She is then in command of love, and no man can ever again manipulate or undermine her. Nonetheless, there are no ideals in existence, and being with the Master must remain an ideal unless it is an actuality for the woman reading or hearing these words. So what is her alternative? First, to begin being in command of love, woman has to have within her the intrinsic love of God, the intrinsic love of the unknown. Without this, she will invariably confuse love with her personal feelings. God or love is not a personal feeling. Personal feelings, likes and dislikes, change. Love of God or the unknown does not. It's there, more or less, all the time. Second, woman has to know that love is not for her personal pleasure or security. She has to realize that love of man has a purpose. That purpose, in the first instance, is to bring more love into herself. This will show as a gradual reduction in her emotionality, self-doubt, and negative feelings, and a slow improvement in her external circumstances. In the second instance, the purpose of love is to bring more love into the world. That is, by her honesty and responsibility for love and truth, to help man abandon the negative emotions obscuring his natural love and beauty. For man and woman are each essentially an expression of divine love and purpose. They are a union now overwhelmed and divided by false notions and beliefs of what love and truth are. To return to what I am as a man or woman is the only purpose of love between them. Since woman must avoid trying to teach man, what can she do? Like the Master, she must know what she is doing in love. If she doesn't know what she's doing, she obviously won't be in command. She must come from her pure experience and know what she does not want in love. So I'm going to talk about now pure experience and knowing what you don't want in love. Pure experience is like the experience of treading on broken glass with bare feet. It's not a matter of whether the glass was a pretty colour or whether it was your favourite heirloom. Those considerations are personal attachments, personal emotions. The reality or pure experience is that treading on broken glass cuts and hurts, irrespective of how beautiful the glass is. To be true in her love life, she must respond from her pure experience and not from her, quote, love, unquote, or, quote, like, unquote, of the man. Attraction to a man is a fact, pure experience. But since most men are selfish in love and therefore hurtful, she has to look at the fact of her pure experience. She does not put anything on the man himself. She just faces the fact of her pure experience in having loved man in the old way. Does she want to be hurt again by his dishonesty, is undermining and sexuality masquerading as love. She must know what she does not want, without attaching any hopes, wishes or personal feelings to the attraction. Remember, the attraction itself is pure as long as she does not put her personal feelings on it. And the way to make the distinction here is to be prepared to die to those feelings for the truth of love. To die for love means she must not be afraid of losing the man because she loves him or likes him. Even if it breaks her heart, she must tell him to go when he persists in refusing to be honest to love, to know what he wants most. For what is the good of dishonest love? Love that does not really love her, does not really want to be with her, that prefers other things to her. She must resist being emotional at all costs. If she's emotional, she'll lose her clarity, and he will dismiss what she says. He will turn the emotion against her, and she'll doubt her own knowledge of love. She will then get even more emotional, and next day suffer severe depression, self-doubt, guilt, or seething anger. To keep in command, to be responsible for love, she must not blame him or accuse him. That will make him want to defend himself or hit back. She must ask him simple questions such as, "Why are you restless?" and wait for him to tell her, to reply honestly. His honest reply may upset her feelings, but she must not give in to these. She must be able to take his honesty, since she is asking for it, and cannot allow her feelings to get in the way of such love. Or she will ask him, "Why are you moody?" A man is only moody when he wants something he does not have, and as he says he loves her, what is this missing thing he's dwelling on emotionally? He must answer her straight and not prevaricate. Well, that's the end of my letter. And if you listen to what I have said over and over, you will gradually, if not immediately, get the idea. Where I tell you that the honesty and love that I speak of as man and woman is an idea, and the purest thing is a pure idea, an idea that is the truth. For pure ideas are pure in God's mind. So honesty and love as man and woman are pure ideas in the mind of God the Most High. If you look at the stars tonight, that's the mind of God. And the idea of love and honesty on earth as man and woman is as fixed as what is called the fixed stars in the heavens that never move and never will move and never have been recorded to have moved, because they are so real, so true, that even in an existence in which everything is seen to move, the fixed stars do not move. And they represent ideas that are true in the mind of God. So when I say that what I have just read out there, that you will get the idea if you listen to it often enough, means that the idea of love and honesty and truth is inside that body listening to these words now. I can't impart it to you in words which are purely a corruption of the truth of the idea. But the wonder is that the idea is already inside of you, waiting to be realized, and therefore there is a communication as I speak the words, because I live this truth that I have just read to you. The living of it gives power, the power to communicate with love. And the power to communicate with love immediately awakens the idea in the listener, if he or she is ready to hear. But because we are so loaded with notions of love and truth, instead of the reality of love and truth, we have to listen to it over and over again till the power of the energy penetrates the resistant matter, the time that we have gathered the notions of impressions of truth instead of the reality of it. So it is a matter of already realizing what is already inside of you. And because you are with me, who writes this and who lives this and speaks this, then you are quite able to realize this idea of love and honesty between man and woman, and to bring about the purpose of man and woman on earth, which, as you heard from what I just read, is to bring more love to the earth, not more doubt, not more argument, not more fighting, but to bring more love. And love is a harmony of circumstance, a harmony of inwardness that has no problem, nothing arising, a harmony that then within repeats itself without, as actual harmony of circumstances, as the total life. That's how real the fixed stars are, which are the fixed ideas of God that cannot be changed once they are realized. They bring about a total harmony, just as the heavens are in total harmony. So harmony, the harmony of the heavens, comes to earth. And it comes to earth as my life, the man or woman listening to these words. For it is God's pleasure, the pleasure of the Most High, represented in sense by the heavens that you will see tonight. It is the pleasure of the Most High intelligence that I, listening to these words, enjoy my life, within and without. Within me, where there is peace and sweetness and rightness, and without, as that manifests, that peace and sweetness manifests, as the harmonious circumstances of my life. It is simply a matter of reducing my love of suffering. Everybody that I know, without exception, loves suffering. That is the human condition, which has replanted, substituted suffering or self for love. As soon as you think about yourself, you will be unhappy. It will take no time at all for the thoughts to go boom, 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 into some problem that you yourself feel. If you love yourself more than me, you must suffer. Are you able to hear this? Now, what is me? We have been into me, and we have found that in me is sweetness and peace and truth and clarity and rightness. In that body listening to these words, that's me. Myself is problematical, is emotional, is all the hurts that I have ever had. It is because I love my hurts. I love thinking about how hurt I am. I love putting my hurts on current situations. It is because I love that. For to love is to want to be with. Because I love that more than me, that I suffer. Because I keep acknowledging myself instead of loving me. Now I trust I can demonstrate now what it is like to love me. Is it good to be here, man and woman? Is it good to be listening to these words? Then where do you feel the harmony that comes with them, the sweetness and beauty of them? Where do you feel that? You feel it in me, in that body. Not in the person next to you, not in the speaker. You feel it in me. The more you relate to that, the more you show the divine intelligence that you love me. For that divine intelligence, that peace, that sweetness that is me, are one and the same. Now, which are you going to love, yourself or me? From now on, will you give up yourself for the love of me? It only means that you do not entertain your mind by thinking about yourself, but how you are missing out, how that you don't have a lover, or how that you do have a lover and it's not working out. You have to accept life as it is, or do something about it. Now, it is not easy to get all this at once. And don't think that there's something to remember. The point is, the next time you want to reflect on yourself, start to see that it is going to make you unhappy. There is no thought about yourself or any consideration of yourself that takes place that will not make you unhappy. You will relate to a past lover or a future lover who doesn't exist or does exist. You will do something, and you will entertain yourself by being unhappy. For these demons down there, which is yourself, love to live. They are unhappy, so they love to make you think about them. For that makes more unhappiness. And then you transfer that unhappiness onto your partner as a mood or a guilt or unhappiness. And so unhappiness then is spread upon the earth. And if you feel unhappy, you will not be able to see the birds in the sky. And I tell you that it is because the birds in the sky and the forests and the trees are not being acknowledged that they are disappearing from the earth. You see, what I acknowledge, God provides. What I don't acknowledge starts to disappear. So if ever man stopped to look at the heavens, stopped looking at the heavens, they would start to disappear, the beauty of the heavens. For it is me, man or woman, my consciousness that sees the beauty of things that keeps them in existence. And I, as you know, have given up as man and woman more and more, acknowledging the beauty of the living earth and its nature, and especially the beauty of the living beauty of woman and of man. I have given up acknowledging that. What I've gone to is acknowledging their problems, acknowledging what I see, the trouble, the argument, the fight. I acknowledge that. That's got a definite part in my life, like my mother and my father taught me. Well, everybody has their fights. Everybody has to have arguments. And I come along and say, why? What are you doing destroying the earth like that? What are you doing destroying love by saying that everybody has to be unhappy? I don't know such a world. It is not the truth. It is a filthy lie. So are you going to start? Are you going to start acknowledging what is good and right, even beginning with the earth, which I know. I'm not suggesting that you haven't already started that, but do you see the mechanics behind it? There is a law. What you don't want, man and woman, what you don't acknowledge, then you don't want it. That's how it is. If you want more rock singers and pop stars, if you want more of that, you can have it. And so it's coming more and more, the waves of it, the utter and complete waves of it. You want more videos, your children, as they walk past the video shops or the Tandies or somewhere, I hear it. Can I have this? I want a video, 7 and 8. Can I have this, Mum? Video, another disc CD, another tape, another so-and-so. Well, what you acknowledge you get, my son. And so that boy or girl, unless they are made to relate to life as it is, they will get their tape and they will get their kicks and their love out of singers instead of out of woman or man. And that is the most dreadful frustration, to hear singers sing about love who don't live it and drift into sentimentality of what it could be if only I had it, instead of having the guts and the courage and the life to live it. Okay? Is it afternoon tea time, Ian? Good, all right then. So let us have a break for afternoon tea, and afterwards I'm going to invite you to ask me questions about anything that we've spoken about in the first half. So return, please, changing your seats as usual, and return at what time, Ian, please?
4:05, Barry.
3:05? 3.
3.
Thank you. 3:05, please. Thank you. Now here we are, beginning this second half of our afternoon in the Course in Being on the Gold Coast. And I said I would invite you to ask me questions about anything that I have spoken about in the first half. Before we do that, I would like once more to go into this matter being this body listening to these words, right? We've got to go into the matter, haven't we? So let us do that. So first of all, please, breathe out, empty the lungs, and breathe into the diaphragm or the belly, easily and slowly filling it, and then exhaling. And open yourself psychically inside, and close the eyes. And then descend into me, this sweet, beautiful, clear space which can be called nothing or well-being or rightness inside my body, which is me. Now this space that I am entering, which is called me, inside the body listening to these words, is endless, fathomless depth. There is no limit to how deeply I can sink into this wonderful place which is me. All I have to do is give up any thought about anything and just simply sink into the reality which is immediately present, which is me. It is so easy to do. And as I do it, I then start to be it. And as I be it, I am being. I mentioned earlier that a woman, and this also means a man who loves God, or a woman who loves God, is a man or woman who loves the unknown. and that unless I have this love of the God or the unknown in me, I cannot truly be true to love. It will be difficult for me. Now I want to demonstrate this unknown to you. You will see obviously that I, listening to these words, by descending into me, into the fathomless, depthless place, this is obviously the unknown that I speak of. The more I can surrender all my doubts and fears, all my attachments to thought at this moment, the more I am able to descend into me, for you will see that it is the unknown in here. And this is the stream that leads to God, whatever that means. So I am descending down a stream. I must leave behind all my worldly thoughts or expectations, all the forms that I associate with existence. I must leave behind because they are the known. And now I am descending into the unknown in me. And is it not good? Isn't it a relief to not have to do anything, to not have to be anything, but what is? To disappear, as it were, consciously into this state. The more I love this, it is the love of God. The more I love this peace, this sweetness, this rightness, the more I will have the will to be true to love and truth in my external circumstances. But just for now I am affirming what I love. I love this. I am this. And so I sink deeper and deeper into my love, into the unknown, into the everlasting, while still being, and yet not being anything. Don't be distracted by any external noises. Stay with me. Keep descending. Stay with the unknown, not with the known. more and more you will notice that there is no object in here, in me. No form, nothing to speak of or think of. No object. It is absolutely black and still. A void that is not a void because it is good, it is sweet, or it is right, or it's something or other of that nature. But there's nothing in it. The more I look at nothing like this, the more I look into the unknown, the more I, the subject, become nothing. For I, the subject, only exist when I am looking or perceiving something. Then there is subject and object. Take away the object, and I disappear. That is then the state of being. No here or there, no before or after, no this or that. Just this state. Completion. Now you may notice, still staying in this state of nothing, you can listen to my words, they don't impinge, they just pass straight through the state of nothing, and yet you can follow them. You will notice that the mind, which is not this state of nothing, the mind which is external to this state, being the self, tries to impose itself on the state, therefore tries to throw up a thought or an emotion. The truth is, though, that endeavour by the mind is on the perimeter of this void, so you don't have to be concerned with it. You are looking straight into the void, or you are in the void, and the mind's endeavour right out there on the perimeter to do something, to make something of it, is just like the buzz of an insect. It cannot shake me, for I am centered, and once more the buzz of the mind disappears, for it cannot reach me. It is beneath me, for I am nothing, I am being, and the mind is something. Now this state sometimes is clarity, which is what I call nothing, utterly still, unmoving, present as an absence of anything. Sometimes, though, I am likely to feel a feeling of relief or release may arise in the state. This I will term the good or right, and it will be pleasing to me as something true, right, good. But then that too will disappear back into the nothing, into the unknown, and I will be, or I am, in an ambience of implicit rightness. The knowledge that this is right without having to know it or think about it. This is the affirmation of the Most High, the Most Deep. It is affirmation by acknowledgement, by being, not by thinking or speaking or visualizing. It has the acknowledgement of my being, it. This. Each of you who regularly address this place of being are descending deeper and deeper into it. Therefore, the result will be a greater command of yourself, which is anything that would disrupt this state. You will have more power to let the thoughts of self, the considerations of self, and the emotions just pass by, out to the perimeter. While I am simply nothing looking at nothing in this being that I am. Now in your own time, still staying with me, no need to leave me, being me. Open the eyes and enter the world of all the objects. All the objects apart from thought, that is. Out here are the real objects, the only reality, the physical reality, which is a relative reality, and the reality of me, which is the reality. Out here is a relative reality. Everything's relative to something else. But at least it's a relative reality. Whereas the world of thought is not a relative reality at all. It's a relative reality. For every thought is taken as an impression of something out here. So it's twice removed, or once removed from even the relative reality. So we are facing the relative reality, which is what is in the material world. There's no need to think about it. Here it is. Flowers, everything else, here. You don't have to think about it. It's immediate perception. inside at the same time is the immediate perception of me. The stillness and rightness and the unknown, which is always there. In between those two hemispheres of reality is the thinker, which is quite unreal, which trades off impressions, notions, and thought forms which have nothing whatever to do with the reality out here or the reality in there. An intermediate world of ignorance, distraction from the good, the right and the true. And that's where most people live. And that's why most people suffer. But you're doing something about it. Because the more I am with me, the more I'm able to see straight out here. So, now, has anybody got any question that they'd like to ask about anything that I've spoken about earlier? Let me help you in any way I am able to. Yes, this lady, what is your name?
Claire.
Claire?
Claire.
Yes.
With the demons that you were talking about inside, how can you... What I don't quite understand is how you can get them up and get rid of them.
Okay. How do I get rid of the demons inside me? First of all, did you recognize this, what I call hell, these demons? Did you recognize it in your own experience? Definitely, yes. That's the first thing. To be able to see it. That's an act of consciousness of self-knowledge, is it not? Because I say it and I ask, read it in your own knowledge, and you say, yes, I recognize it, that's self-knowledge. So self-knowledge is the way to get rid of self. Doubts and fears is to know myself. So that's the first step. Then, whenever it happens again, it might never happen, but say it did happen again, you will, by the demonstration of these demons, this hell that starts to arise in us, you will know it is yourself and what is happening. It won't be like it was before, because now you've got more knowledge and you will be able to see what's happening, how they hit up against the body. They can't go through the body, but they do drive the body, don't they? So we get up and slam the door. They drive the body, but they can't get through the body. So therefore, all the demons are in myself. No demon can get from another body into me. None. But what can happen is that the demon in another body can relate to the demon in my body by behaving in a certain way, reminding my demon of a hurt that I had from similar behavior in my past. And then my demon reacts from that. But all hell is in me. And it's the hell in me I've got to get rid of, not the hell in someone else. So my whole life is about getting rid of the demons in me. And so how do I get rid of them? The next time that a demon rises in me, I have to be honest and straight and clear and say, why am I suffering or in pain? That's fair enough, isn't it? And then I look at the circumstance outside that is causing my demon to react. Well, that's a mirror. Outside is a mirror of my demon, the cause of my demon. And then I have to be very straight and clear. That's why we go into me, to get the mind straight and clear. And I will see that I am either having an expectation of someone else to perform as I want them to, or I am putting some old pain onto a present situation. That's why it's so important that I be honest and straight so that I can identify those. Because what most people in the world do is they identify with the demon and they can't see straight because the demon is not straight. So I don't know whether I'm to blame, you're to blame, who's to blame. Looks to me as though you're to blame, the situation's to blame, and I lose myself in the blaming or the trying to shift the demon off me onto someone else. So to answer your question again, always look to see, what am I unhappy about? What is this demon unhappy about? What is the external circumstance? Then you look to see, what can I do to remedy that? What action can I take? Right? Would you like to mention any particular demon? If there's none in you now, fair enough, but can you recall one that happens to you from time to time?
Well, what I was wondering actually,
Yes.
on one of the tapes you've talked about, or in a book, about taking that to a place where you can burn it.
Yes.
And it's that process
It is.
that I'd
Yes.
like to be able to understand, so that when a demon does sort of, when I can feel it, what to actually do with it to
Right.
disperse it.
So in one of your books or tapes you've mentioned, or you talked about this demon going into a place where it can be dissolved inside my body. Right? I have mentioned that. Now the first thing, how to do that, first of all, I ask you now, at this moment, everybody, to drop down any tensions in your body, in your head, in your face, in the jaws, in the neck, in the throat where you speak, in the shoulders. Go on, drop it all down towards, and you will find that the tension drops towards the stomach. In the chest, come on, down it goes. Let go, come on, let it all go. Down it goes. Where does it go? You will find or discover that it automatically drops down as I surrender my tensions in my body. It drops down towards my stomach. The stomach is the right place for all emotion and tension. What happens, though, is that even without my noticing, the emotions in my stomach, where they lodge, cause tension to rise in my head, my face, my jaws, the places I just mentioned, without my knowing it. Because they creep up, the tension creeps up from the stomach, invades my shoulders, comes up my head, chokes my voice a bit, my ears, and I'm tense. So the first thing to learn how to put the emotion in a place where it can be dealt with is what I'm saying. Release the tension. When you're at work typing, when you're painting your pictures, whatever it is, and you're reminded, immediately surrender, and you will feel it start to drop down towards the stomach. Now everybody can do that now. All tension is psychic. All tension comes from the demons in us, the hurts and the pains, inside my psychic subconscious. Example. You can psychically, this moment, drop the tension in your shoulders by dropping. Stop hanging onto your shoulders. Come on, let go. Yeah? You notice how psychically we hang onto our shoulders like that, psychically. When we can let it go. Our stomach. Let it all go. We can still keep the skeleton upright, which is right, but we can relax the flesh, the muscles. We can do that at any time. Even the hands now. You can let the hands go because we tend to have tension in the hands. You can let them go. This is because existence is a pain. To be in existence is a fundamental pain. And the fundamental pain of, am I going to survive any moment, or what have I got to be ready for in case a roof falls in or a cat jumps on my neck, and my muscles have got to be, I myself keeps them tense in the fears that are inside of me, what's going to happen next, which we don't know either, do we? So there's a fundamental tension in our bodies. So what I'm demonstrating is, first of all, to let it drop down every time you're reminded of it during the day. Practice the surrender of my psychic tension, and it drops down towards my stomach. Then, when the demons start to arise as an actual provocation from external events, if I practice dropping tension down, I will be fast enough to see this thing start to rise, and perhaps I can then not give it anything to hold on to and drop it down, which means not give it any more thought than I have to, because the demons get onto the mind of thought and make the mind go. So I've got to drop it down. And it goes down to the stomach as much as I can possibly get it there. That keeps it out of my head. Once the demon gets in my head, I'm finished. It's got to run its course. It might take a day or 2 days. I've got to get it down in my stomach first. I've got to take a pause. This afternoon is a pause in your life. You're putting some pause in. Right. Pause is essential to break up the continuity of existence. We're putting a pause. Gives us a chance to get the tension down into our stomach. Once it's down there, I who am still am the consciousness, and that which is not still, I can feel it in my stomach like this. But because I am still and I am not thinking, not letting it get to my head, I have a consciousness around it. That consciousness is called the timeless, and the disturbance is called time, the self. The timeless erodes or gradually converts that which is time into timelessness. So that's a dissolution in itself. So all the time I practice, as much as I am reminded, to be present in my body as conscious, and to surround any tensions that are in my stomach, to get around them and not think about them. So you say, well, why can I not think about them? Because the cure is to take action. What was the last thing that caused you tension or pain or a demon to rise? Could you tell me that?
Thinking, actually.
But what about? It wasn't the thinking that did it, it's what you thought about. What did you think about? What do you often think about that causes you pain? Then we'll be able to find the cause of it.
It was the not being able to stop thinking, rather than...
I understand that. I understand the reply.
I sort of had a whole period of time where I haven't been thinking. I've been on holiday, I've been lovely and relaxed and everything, and then suddenly, since I saw you last time actually, I just had all this thinking going on. I was no longer in control of it.
Right.
And eventually I took action and it stopped. All the thinking stopped. But while the thinking was going on, then all the other emotions were coming up as well.
Yes, because you'll think about those other emotions. So I have to ask you then, have you been thinking lately? Has it been on you lately, this thinking?
It's in the last month.
In the last month, since you returned from holiday?
And now I'm on holiday now.
You're on holiday now. What would be the obvious question is, if you suddenly find yourself thinking in a spurt of thinking, then there's something in your external life that is causing that thinking that you're not facing up to, that's causing you a problem. So there's something in your external life responsible for the thinking. It's not the thinking that's responsible for the other. And I would have to ask you, as part of the answer to your original question, what is it in your external life that is not right, that troubles you?
I wasn't being honest.
You weren't being honest. What to? What about?
About what you said earlier. There's like one or two things that you know that it's like something inside that you never actually say. And I found myself suddenly, I had something which was, I'd fallen in love with somebody. I couldn't tell my partner.
I'd fallen in love with somebody and I couldn't tell my partner.
And so that was just
Absolutely. So it
As
is.
soon as I told him, it just totally shifted and changed.
Right. That's the action, isn't it?
But I went through a week of thinking about it,
And the demons were all
Yeah.
excited, like some gas that's superheated, and they're bouncing around against the side of the body, disturbing you, which says, what's the problem? That's the problem. I can't tell him. I've got to tell him. So you go and tell him. You take action. And you take your chances, you'll notice, because you know that he's likely to say, go, I don't want to see you anymore. But, as I said in that letter that I replied, a woman must be prepared to die for the truth. And the truth was, as far as you knew it was the truth, that you'd fallen in love with someone else. That was the truth, and you had to die even if it meant he kicked you out. You had to be true to love or the truth. And you told him. Did he kick you out? Is it all right? So you took the action, and immediately the problem, the demons disappear. Because action, they only are able to rise when I do not take action and when I think about it, instead of taking right action. So the answer to your question is, 1, know yourself. 2, drop tension down any time of the day when you are reminded, down towards your stomach. Be present in your body by watching nature and enjoying your life, but watching down there, being there at the same time, so that you surround anything down there with your consciousness, which will dissolve it. 3, look into your life and see where you are putting up or being dishonest, like you discovered, and take some action to remedy it if you can. Sometimes there are situations where we can't take immediate action. In that case, don't ever think about it. Look at what you can do in practical terms, and if it's still, you see you can't do anything, don't think about it. Because you only think about what you don't know. And where you know whether you can take practical action, no good thinking about it. Okay? So you really demonstrated your own truth to yourself, didn't you? You were the answer to your own question, which is how it is. Thank you. Would anybody else like to ask? I spent some time there so that we could deal with that particular question. Yes, a man. Yes, your name again?
Max.
Max, yes, Max.
Sorry about my voice, Barry. I'm a bit cold. I'm not sure what my question is, but some years ago, 2 years ago, I had a very severe trauma where I was going through a lot of mental pain. I was able to stay within with me while it was going on, but what was happening, I had one extremely intense night where I didn't sleep, but I was looking at demons, seeming to, perhaps I was hallucinating, I was seeing like these horrific demons, just grotesquely frightening actually, but managing to not be frightened.
And were these occurring outside of you? In your bed at night?
Yes, I was lying on the floor, just going through the whole.
Okay, so first of all, a couple of years ago I don't know what the point of the question is now, but we just get to this one. I had a traumatizing experience, and at one stage I saw, talking about demons, I saw demons outside of me. Whether I was hallucinating, I don't know. And the first thing is, yes, it is possible in particular psychic projections, depending on the person or the matter of the person, to, under sufficient strain, to externalize a demon in some form or other. Every demon is really a part of yourself that gets externalized psychically. So there's really not much difference between the demons that are invisible inside myself and if they get projected outside into some form, because they are both a part of me, trying to terrify me, trying to make me be emotional and fearful and terrified of them so that they can control me and manipulate me, whether outside or in. Yes, so that allows me to speak on that. What's the point of this,
Well,
Max?
Actually, I suppose I was interested in whether that was real, the vision. I mean, and what seemed to be happening at the time was that after seeing such things, I felt like I'd been through something, and the intensity was greatly diminished of the demonic influence.
Yes.
So it almost felt like the demons in me were perhaps staging an incredible last minute sort of
Yes.
struggle to overwhelm me, because they just did seem extremely
Okay.
striking.
And so the question is, was it real what happened? And meaning, was it real, meaning that it did seem to have an effect, because after this they appeared outside of me, the emotion in me, the demonic emotion, diminished. And the answer is, nobody knows what is real. The only thing that's real is me. And you can have a look into me now and be me now, and I'll tell you it is nothing. Nothing is real. That's the truth. So having said that, if nothing is real, then you get the point, don't you? So how can we say anything that appears is real, anything that something is real? We don't know. But what we have to live is a form of reality such as what would seem to be real in life on earth. And that would be, what do we all really treasure? What do we all really want? And that would be to be free of unhappiness, to be free of demons. So that I can look at nature, I can walk around, and I can enjoy my life. That's about the greatest reality that is demonstrable to anyone. That I am free to enjoy my life in these senses, in this matter. Now the demons inside are an impediment to that, a continuous distraction, because they keep rising up, they have a will of their own which I can't control, certain circumstances occur outside, my demon reacts inside, and I am lost, I get identified with the demon. We have to face the demon inside as much as we can, as I've described, but also as much as possible by attending to the circumstance outside, attend to that. Now, if you were suffering from a trauma that happened in the past, and it was gone, the only way you can attend to that is to forget all about it, to forget about the person and the event and everything, take some action by cutting them out of your life. The demons then start to lose their power. When a demon inside of you starts to lose its power because you are becoming, it starts to lose its force, its ability to manipulate, it means that I, in that being, am getting more power. The more I dissolve it, the more power I get, the less force it gets, and the more troublesome it becomes. It then gets very, very agitated. It feels imprisoned. How often have you said, in the midst of an argument, in the midst of a very traumatic experience, how often have you said, I've got to get out of here. I've just got to get out of here. I can't stand it anymore. That's when you identify with the demon, because they're trying to get out of the body and they can't get out. So you run out of your body, which seems to be your house or the place that's enclosing you. You run out. Same thing, you see? Wrong identification, but still, that's how it is. So when they get like that, as I was saying, sometimes they can actually, and I don't know whether you were taking drugs, were you? No, okay. They can, under strong, very strong emotional intensity, then we can project the demons outside ourselves. Now, to have them outside of ourselves and to face them rightly is the same as having them inside and facing them rightly. And if I face the demon rightly inside me or outside of me, it loses its power. But if I get all fearful, over fearful and shrieking and emotional, they get power from that. I give them the power of my emotions and they get stronger and stronger and then come back probably every night and terrify me.
Yeah, actually, Dave, at the time I remember when I'd been going through it, it seemed almost like they were external to me at some stage, and I actually almost felt a compassion, as if there was something that was pitiable
Yes, we'll be very careful about that one, because they'll do anything to make you feel sorry for them. Now, the fact is that they're a part of yourself that has been hurt and twisted, and that they're emotional. So, the only way to get rid of them and bring them back into the fold, as it were, that is, into your own fold, into your own body, is to face them and not give them power over you. So that, like the bad disciple, or the good disciple, they surrender. And the only way you can make a demon surrender is to be the master. So you face it inside or out, and you say, I will face you. Worse, this is how you would be. I'll face you, no matter how horrible you are, no matter if the hair stands up on the back of my head, and the sweat pours down my face, and my voice becomes just a drawl, which often happens in these cases, an unearthly drawl. It does not matter. I will not give to you. I stay like I am. Now get on with your worst. That is all I can do. And then nothing can stand against me, because it is a lesser part of me than me. But if I am still emotional, and have been taught to be emotional and to emotionalize, I won't be able to stand the demon, and I'll give the demon power, and the demon, like all demons, will come back for some more. But there comes a time where we do have the strength, and as you say, you face it in some way or other, and it's seen to diminish. Okay? Yes, there was a lady here. There was a lady here? Did you? Yes. Go ahead.
I don't have a question about it. I can't ask it
You can't ask it now, that's all right. You can't say it now? Okay.
because I've been waiting and I've got nerves.
Now, come on. There's only now. So come on, say it. Don't let the demon get hold of your voice. Come on. What is it you wanted to say? You can say it. Come on, you can say it. Come on. Come on. Look at me. Come on. Come on. I'm with you all the way. Just say it. Just open the mouth and say it. Start speaking. What's it about? Come on. What was it about?
One question.
Well, what did you want to say?
Express.
Yes, express. Come on.
What I was experiencing.
Well, come on. It's in your body. Come on. It's not in your memory. You don't have to remember. It's in your body. Come on, speak, and you'll find it. It's still there. What did you want to say?
I was just experiencing an overwhelming joy and privilege just to be with that.
Well, and tell me, is that there now? Because you...
Not as much.
Not as much, but it's still there. And it is good that you express it. And don't let anything close that over. Now, you've said it. You've opened it up again psychically. Now stay there. And if it happens again, you put both hands up. And I'll come immediately. Yes, Darryl?
Very custom dictates that when a man and woman are in love, they live in a house, in a room together. Is it all right to live in different houses?
I would have to ask you this question. Why do you live in different houses? Not to say that you shouldn't, but why do you?
Well, the woman I'm with likes to meditate a lot, and I sort of like to be alone sometimes myself.
Does she want to live with you? Have you asked her?
Not
Or have you not raised it?
No, we seem to agree that it seems healthier for us and the love stays stronger if we actually have our different spaces.
I can hear that. There is a place for that. But finally, if you are together, then finally you will have to be able to live together to get the full value of the union of being together. But I can understand that. But the question that you'll be asking as time goes by is this enough, or are we avoiding something?
We're sort of in the same place, it's just we're in different rooms. You know?
Yeah, but that's not living together, is it?
So you're living in the same rooms, living together.
Living in the same part of the psyche is really not just the same room, where room is a house. You've got to be in the same part of the psyche, and the fact that you are apart shows that in your psychically you are apart. There's something not being faced between you, meaning neither of you, or one of you, to which neither of you, wants to really give all. And if you don't give all to each other, then you won't have union. And it's very difficult to give all for a woman because she's been hurt before, and man because he's afraid of losing his independence. He thinks that it's the end of his life. He really does. You might recognize it anyway. So the question for you both will be, if you really start to discover that the more you discover that you love, inevitably the need for greater and greater union will happen in you. And that will be manifested physically, not just by making love, but by the physical presence of your bodies, to live in the one house, or to have such a freedom between you that it makes no difference because you truly love and you are not afraid to love. In other words, you take each other on rightly, utterly and completely.
Yeah, we're getting it right, slowly.
Good, Darryl. That's the way. What does your woman say? What do you say? I have forgotten your name. Sadhana. Yes, Sadhana. Do you want to live with him in the same house?
Well, spontaneously, yes.
Yes. Why don't you?
Well, we do live in the same house.
Or in different
Well,
rooms?
actually, what happens to me is, I feel when we live together closely, I get more emotional than when I have my own space.
Right. So really, your emotionality is protected by the distance from your love.
Yes.
If he's your love, and you have to be separate from him to control your emotionality or your demons are protected by you being distant from your love. If you get close to your love, the demons start to work.
Yes.
There has to be something wrong with that, doesn't there? Because my love is supposed to get rid of all my demons, isn't it? But everything has to be done in time. So don't let's make a problem of this. Don't let's put anything on you. Everything is done in time and will be done in time. Just keep looking, right, to see what is the truth for you. So don't take anything on, but hear the truth, and then you don't take anything on, you just hear the truth and you have more self-knowledge. All right then, yes, Gary?
Barry, You've said that the unhappiness eventually becomes a ball in the lower part of your stomach.
Yeah, not necessarily a ball, because a ball suggests that it's... I think if we just have that the unhappiness or the tension or the pain goes down to the stomach and doesn't necessarily have to form a ball. If it forms a ball, then it's about something. If it's just there, it's the tension, it's all the past pains being gradually dissolved by the life inside of us. But once you get a ball down there, it means somewhere in your life there's a particular problem. Would that be so?
Right.
Otherwise it's just not troublesome. Myself is not troublesome when it's in the stomach and it's not a ball. Like now. Is it troublesome now? No. But suddenly, like that, it can form a ball if I get some sort of difficulty outside. And the thing then is to stop it getting up to the chest, then up to the throat where I'm swallowing and I can't talk through emotion, and then up to the brain where I can't stop thinking or worrying. And it moves very fast, as you know. So you've got to attend to the problem in the external life to keep the self in the stomach reasonably easy. Okay, Gary?
Thank you.
Good. All right. Some lady like to speak?
I really like to speak, actually. I don't want to go on that one. I've got a lot better with my work, and I'm enjoying it, and it's got a lot. I feel like I've transformed the situation for myself in the last year or so.
Yes, you're looking very good.
And it's really good, you know. But I'm still at night. I come home late some nights, and it's very busy where I work on the ward, and it still will go on in me like a sort of a momentum.
Momentum, yes, it's difficult
and I find it very difficult
to detach from that.
To detach from it.
Mm.
And I do my best, and I just wanted to bring it up again because as you were talking, it was there again. To perhaps maybe it would help me to just
Yes.
Talk to you about it.
And you're a nurse, aren't you,
yes.
on the ward? And
yes.
And when you come home, are you able to talk with John, your partner?
Oh yes, yes I am. Yes.
And I should think that as much as you can sit down and have a cup of tea or whatever it is, and just be able to be easy together,
yes.
and use the reflection of John talking about as much as you can any momentum that's in you or what happened today, in the sense of getting rid of it, and using the reflection of his love and care of you. I should think that's the best thing to do. What the cause of it is, well, are you happy in your work?
I am happy, Barry, yes.
That's good.
I'd say 90% happy.
Well, then that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean, you know, I describe perfection as 80% good and 20% not so. So you've got 90 and 10. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a lot better. I don't know why, really, or just whatever. It's just instant.
I would think if you could talk with John when you come home and he's able to listen and you're able to just converse for a little while and sit down quietly together before you go to bed together, I should think that would be helpful.
Yes. But there's a tendency for me to get anxious, you know, sometimes.
Yes.
And with momentum in it is something.
Yes, of course.
A certain amount of anxiety, or did I forget something, or I might be going to sleep, or about waking
Yes.
up, oh God, I forgot to say that, and there's a sort of anxiety in having forgotten
Yes, I hear that.
something to the next person on the shift, or it's those kind of things that,
Yes.
that tend to sort of sit there going, oh, you know, did I remember or did I not?
Yeah, well, I think that sort of thing does happen in everybody more or less, but it's happening a little bit more in you, and I suggest that the thing that would take most of it out of you, if you could do it, is to talk with John each time when you get home late, especially when you get home late.
Yes.
And particularly if it's been a demanding evening with lots of running around.
Harry, do you mean talk with John about what's happened during at work, or talk with John about anything?
No, not about anything, but I would think that if she was able to speak from what is the agitation in her body, which is the momentum from where she's been, therefore she's not talking so much about the past, she's talking about an agitation that's in her body, a momentum, therefore it's in the present. And if she could say to John, well, it was a pretty a demanding night on the ward tonight, and because she's speaking from here, she can feel it in there, but I see that it's all right, and I'm a little disturbed about something that just occurred to me that on the way home that I didn't do. And he'd say, well, what's that? And you say, well, so and so, so and so. And but is that all right, Nicolette? Is that all right, Nicolette, that you didn't do it? Yes. Yes, it's okay. Really, it's okay. I don't have to really. It happened, and it's all right. That that sort of thing is how you get it out. But you're not talking in the past. You're talking in the present, because the agitation's there. And I think that sort of thing's a gradual lowering down, because you are a sensitive creature. Every one of us is a sensitive creature, particularly woman is sensitive. And you do pick up the momentum of the hospital ward and the being here and the being there, or whatever the work is. And coming home late at night, and it's so close to bedtime, the momentum you can take to bed, and this is one way of the partner in his love and caring and being able to listen to you, is a healing effect. And I should think that this is probably applies to every one of us when we come home from work, if we've got a partner, and if it has been a bit harrowing, that each is able to speak, not to complain, but just to express the tension that's in us. And a loving partner which is able to listen, because that's what we're together for, it helps. Okay, yes, this lady.
I just wanted to talk to you about what you said before about acknowledging things external to you and creating more of whatever you acknowledged. The other day I was with the man in my life, and it seemed that he was so happy, to a point where I've never seen that before. And I was happy that for a change I was still enough to see it. And it was just that he was so lovely. And should I have acknowledged that then? Should I have said something to him?
Right. The lady says, talking about acknowledgement, the other day the man in my life was so happy that I haven't seen him like that before. I think she said that. And I was very happy to see him in that state. Should I have acknowledged it? Tell me, when you saw him happy, did you find him loving and sweet and beautiful? Well, then, it's not that he's happy is important. The thing that's important is that he was being man and displaying those attributes of love, and that he loved you, and that he loved nature, or whatever it was, and that he was in that state of love. In that case, yes, you should acknowledge it, indeed. The only question I would ask was, why was he so happy? What had he won? That is not to doubt his integrity, but when you made such a point of it, I have to ask that question.
I think it was... Oh, he hadn't won anything.
Right.
It was... I think that both of us were... Maybe it was something weird for both of us, that we were both not asking anything of each other. It was like when you look at a sky or stars, the way you look at those, you don't ask anything of them.
Yes.
And I think that we were, and that's really rare. It's rare for me. And
But that's a wonderful thing, because as you've described it, that's wonderful. That's man and woman looking at each other, not putting anything on each other, and just seeing the reality because they are together, that they obviously love something together, and they're seeing the love. And that's not putting anything on the love. And that's natural. And do you know what event brought it about?
I think all I can tell you is that I think it was because we were both that way, like that, at that moment. And that perhaps we hadn't had that before. That's all that I
That's all you can see, right? And how is it now, this moment?
Okay. Oh, you mean between us?
Well, yes, if I can ask.
Okay.
So, perhaps you've just accustomed yourself to the state, because any state that we accustom ourselves to, we become. And if you become the state, it apparently loses its intensity and then settles down into a nice state without the intensity when it first comes, because we've been in such a there's been a bit of turmoil around, and suddenly peace in the turmoil is very dramatic. But once the turmoil the peace settles into us, there's less turmoil, and it's not as dramatic as it was. So perhaps you're both in this state of love now. Perhaps you're both always in this state of love now. It doesn't mean that you can't go deeper into a deeper state of love, but that's been done. It doesn't mean that it's gone somewhere. It means that you are it, and you have found a place in your partnership that you have made more holy, more real, but then you are both become more real, so you're not aware of being unreal. So don't think that it's gone, that's what I'm saying. Right? Good. Yes, anyone else got a question? Yes, Lockie?
Barry, lately I've been trying to focus on my peace of mind and valuing enough to keep it in my life. But I find it slipping away quite easily when I have conversations with my partner about practical matters or issues that come up with us, or even when I get involved with busy daily life. It's sort of like, can you talk about how to keep that peace of mind?
Well, I would have to ask you, Lockie, between you and your partner, what is the difficulty? And that always comes down to that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Have you isolated the problem there?
I think I got to it before when we were talking about intimacy and we've been keeping in separate beds, and my partner's just had a baby, and that's taken we both just had a baby, and that's taken a lot of our intimacy away in a way. So I think what I will do is go back to sleeping in the same bed and have the baby in a different bed, and I think that could show that I'm giving somehow.
Is that because you want to do that?
Yes, I do.
Do you want this intimacy? Do you want this love back?
Yes.
And yet the baby's got to go as fast as possible out of the bed. Well, without your love between each other, the baby's not going to be loved, no matter how much everybody tries. It's got to be brought up in an ambience of yours and your woman's love and relating to each other. So yes, Lockie. And of course the child has to be looked after in every way, but not at the to the exclusion of yours and her love. That must come first, and the baby will fit into place. The woman might not always see that. I'm not saying your partner doesn't see that, but she has to guard against putting the baby before the man whom I presume she loves. If she loves him, yes. I know you mean to get it out of the bed. I understand that. And that is right, yes. Put the baby in its place and put the people, the man and woman, in their place, and then everything's in their place and nobody misses out. But if the man and woman are not in their place, then the baby misses out no matter how much everybody thinks the baby's all right. Good, Lockie. Okay. Anybody else have a question?
Harry,
Yes, Dawn.
you said you were going to speak on physical lovemaking and virtue.
Oh yes, I did, didn't I? Yes. Yes, Dawn. I was looking for my notes, as a matter of fact. Yes, I'll talk about that in a moment. There's a lady over here just going to ask me a question. What is your name? Debbie? Yes, Debbie. A couple of months ago I ended a relationship that had lasted 10 or 11 years? Yes.
Not long afterwards, there's no one else that I feel very comfortable with, but I am largely taking negativity from the previous relationship to this one, and for that reason I find that I'm unable to give myself totally to this new relationship.
Yes, I see. Not long after I met someone else that I feel very comfortable with, but I am afraid of bringing negativity from the past relationships into this relationship.
Because of this fear, there's a lack of verbal communication between the person and I.
And because of this fear, there's a lack of verbal communication between this new person and myself. Yes.
The lovemaking is very wonderful and fulfilling.
Although the lovemaking is very wonderful and fulfilling.
And I feel very still with this person. I feel this lack of verbal communication is coming between us, although I have a difficulty in overcoming it.
And I feel very still with this person, although I feel that the lack of verbal communication between us is coming between us. So that's fair enough, right. And thank you, Jade. Jade's got my notes here. Thank you. So replying to the question, it is one thing to have the beautiful physical relationship interaction, which is, especially in the beginning, is wonderfully intense after such a long time of being with another partner that had lost its intensity and its rightness, obviously, or you wouldn't have left him. But the physical cannot sustain itself, and that is, you know that, without a verbal complementing of it. Now, first of all, I'd have to ask you, what negativity from the past are you afraid of bringing into this? Because that was the first thing you said. Are you still attached to this man in the past?
No.
Do you see him or have any relationship with him? Only because of your children. Are you able to handle that when you see the children and you see him? Are you able to be factual with him and not talk about the past?
I am with him, but he carries a lot of emotionality from.
I am with him, but he carries a lot of emotionality. Did you leave him or did he leave you, or did you both agree?
I left him in spirit a long time ago. I just didn't leave his house. I just stayed there because of the children.
So I just stay there mostly because of the children. I left him a long time ago in spirit, but I stayed in the house. But so he would consider that you left him? Yes. And when a man, is he here?
No.
Then a man who's not here will carry with him a deep hurt, and he will try to put that onto you, or open up that area inside himself by relating to you. And if you don't give him anything back, he'll get even more hurt unless he knows it's finished and you make it very clear that it is finished. And you will have to tell him every time that you see him in your own way, it is finished, it is over. I'm here to talk to you only about those matters that concern the children or our shared possessions or whatever it is. That's all. Otherwise, I would torture you, whatever his name is, and I don't want to do that. That would not be right. So if you hold on to me, you hold on to torture, and I don't want to cause you pain. So it's finished. Now, what negativity, what were you afraid of bringing into the present relationship?
I think the initial relationship was ended probably grew out of a need for security on my part.
So you've entered this relationship partly because of the need of security.
No,
Did you say that? You didn't.
The relationship was probably founded in a need for security initially, and once I found love and security within myself, the relationship just didn't measure up anymore.
You're talking about the past relationship?
The past one.
Yes, I see.
So it was founded on, it wasn't founded on any honesty.
No.
And I recognise that.
Okay.
Relationship I would like to be founded in honesty, but I was concerned that previous behaviour patterns
Yes.
came into this one.
The last relationship was started off with the security, and then it couldn't sustain itself. And I just want to make sure that my new relationship is honesty right from the beginning, and that we get it right. And that's why you're mentioning this. So, verbal communication is essential. You have to do that, and that's why you're mentioning it, because you know that's so. What do you talk about, the two of you? Do you ever talk about love and life, or truth, or God, or what I talk about here? Do you ever, the two of you, talk about that? You have a mutual interest in that.
But there seems to be a mutual fear of being hurt.
There seems to be a mutual fear of being hurt. The only way to overcome, and that is true, the mutual fear of being hurt. So the only way to overcome the mutual fear of being hurt is to acknowledge that you want to be together, and you have to know that you want him. And so, if you want to be together and he wants to be with you, then you both have to go all the way. And that does mean breaking down your fears and giving more. Now, I know the fear will say, well, I'm not going to give more, though in physical lovemaking, of course, we make love with the physical body, which is quite capable of giving everything. It's the self within, the fear within the physical body, that can't come to the party and give everything. And it's that is verbalized out. And so why don't you, do you tell him quite straightly, if you feel it, that you love him?
No, not yet. I feel it's very early.
Do you love him?
Yes, I do.
Right, then why are you afraid? Do you think he's going to take advantage of you and use you as a doormat if you tell him you love him? Then you must overcome that, because your body is already telling him that you love him. And he loves you. So why don't you get yourself to catch up and take the risk, the big gamble that he's going to use you as a doormat, but it doesn't matter, because for love, I'm telling you, whatever his name is, I love you. Immediately, because you've said it, because you've taken the big gamble, the big chance, boom, you put your life on the line, don't you? You die for love. You die to your fear. You say, I love you. And I love being with you. Do you love being with him? Then I love being with you. Now, the man should be man enough to say from himself, as soon as he can, I love you. I love being with you. It is a pleasure for me to live with you. I love making love with you, and I love being with you on every occasion that I can be. Does that seem to fit the situation, that you both do love that? Well, then you must be true to the situation of love and get it out. You must open up, because that's only the negative fears of the past, that you're afraid that he'll use you, that he'll become familiar, that if you give him everything he'll become familiar and he'll... Don't. You must go all the way for love. What have you got to lose? Say he becomes familiar with you, like the last man. Say that. It's not to judge the last man, but say the situation. Worse, to get into that. You're not that woman. You've left such a situation. If he gets like that, you'll be onto him like a ton of bricks. Because you'll know, woman, another thing I was going to talk about, what you don't want. You have to know what you don't want. Everybody wants to be happy. Everyone wants a perfect partner. Everyone wants to be in harmony with everyone. What's the good of that? They're generalities. They're not real. What I have to learn from my pure experience, not my emotionality, is what I don't want. Like, I do not want to tread on broken glass. It hurts. I do not want my man to take me for granted. So if he starts taking me for granted, I will immediately say, why are you doing that? That is an action of familiarity in taking me for granted. And eventually, if we start to do that to each other, I, for one, cannot stand it, and I shall leave you. When you start verbalizing like that, you've got communication. And the man says, yes, well, I didn't realize that was an action of familiarity, but I see what you're saying. Right, I don't want to take you for granted. I love you. And then you start verbalizing rightly, and because you go all the way. You will leave him if he takes you for granted. You will leave him if he's dishonest. And why not? So you've got nothing to lose. But know what you don't want. Is that all right? But get him, have a talk to see that he does the same, and that he declares himself too. Good. Okay. So I was going to talk about physical love and virtue. The most dangerous thing that a man and woman can do is to make love, physical love. A physical love takes the man and woman down into the ground, and the body is obviously the ground. The ground of love is my body. And physical love is a journey, because it is love. The making of love is the taking of love down into the subconscious. The body is not the subconscious. The body is the natural body, the ground of love. For none of you can love without your physical body. You have to have a physical body to be alive, to love, to smell the trees, to hear the birds, to love your children. You have to have a physical body. That is the ground of love. Now the field of love is the ability to be able to perceive in the ground that there is love or peace in the ground. So the field of love is the intelligence, the perception that we all have that's looking out of your eyes at this moment, or out through your ears. That is perception, that's intelligence, and that's a field, absolutely invisible. Whereas the ground is not invisible either, is it? It's a physical fact. So the ground you can always see, or it's got substance in it, you can feel it. But the field, well, is almost an abstraction, but it's not, because it's looking out of your eyes this moment and out of your ears. Field and ground make a perfection. So that if you go into the country tomorrow and you'll say, look at that pretty field. Now the field obviously has got ground. You can't see the field really. It seems to have a boundary by fences. That's the field. But the ground is underneath as its substance. The field is, well, the sort of the thing around what it is. So a field is not a ground. There's no ground without a field of intelligence over it. So there's no ground that you can see that doesn't in some way represent a field, because the field is the ability to see the ground, and that's a perfect interaction. In between is the subconscious in this ground. Underneath the ground, just under the ground, in what can be called the underworld of the Greeks, You know about the underworld. Down in hell there, not very far down, under this ground is hell, the subconscious self, where all the pains and hurts are. Now the ground it's not a battleground, it's a battlefield. There's no battle occurs in this body to make love or to be love. There's no battle in this body. This body is beautiful and perfect as the ground of love. It can see the birds and the trees, and it can delight in those, and it delights in exercise, and it delights in whatever, everything physical that it does, it delights in. And the field is perfect too, because that's the intelligence of the body that looks out and hears and smells and tastes, and they're perfect. The battlefield occurs in the subconscious, where all the demons are, just in there, you know where they are. And that makes a battlefield of love. Whereas love itself is not a battlefield. But unfortunately, we make a battlefield in there, and we make a battleground of our beautiful body. And neither are the truth. Still, the action of love is always to unify and to clear out and to make perfect as the ground and the field. So when I, man, enter a woman's body and I make love with these bodies, love is made. It doesn't matter whether the two people don't think they're together or something. The love is made by the body, and the love goes down into the subconscious. The job of the love is to clear out the subconscious where the hurts and pains of yesterday exist. So every time I make love, I immediately am making an energy, a timeless energy of communication called love, which is substantive, which is not just something that goes up in the air. It goes down into the ground, through the body where the love is made, into the psychic place where all the pains and hurts are, and that gets disturbed. The pains and hurts are disturbed by love, because love is so beautiful that the pains and hurts come up towards the love, and then we know we have hurts and pains in us, and we get emotional. So it is very dangerous to make love. And yet, as long as I know what I am doing, and that I am going to disturb in my partner certain reactions from the pains of the past in them, then I as man can love her. And when the pains of the past come up in her, we can then, because we are partners, I can say to her, what is the problem? What am I doing to you? And she can answer if she is true, whether it's the past lovers or the past mother and father or what it is she's trying to put onto you. Or she can say what you are doing to her by not loving her rightly or by fantasizing. So out of love making can come a presence if only I am willing. A presence of love, a presence of reality and honesty. So in its way it's the most dangerous thing. And then if a man just goes his way and leaves you, he leaves you with all that disturbed and doesn't take it on as man is supposed to do, to help you through it. So if you go and make love with any man, then he disturbs these things in you and he doesn't stay to take responsibility, and so you're left with it. And so you will get depressed and unhappy. So although it is very dangerous, it does the job of love, to get rid of the false field, the battlefield in us, where worry and guilt and all the rest of it takes place. And a man's loving action in making love to you and then taking on responsibility for what he stirs in you, that is an action of the noble man who stays, and he fights the battle for you, not you, in helping you to clear your field, your ground, or this battleground down there in the subconscious. And that's why I say, man and woman, must face each other. And she also, love-making will disturb in him all his fears and doubts. Just the same, he will be disturbed. He will know that he wants to run. He will know that he's terrified of having his independence taken, swallowed up by her great love. As she comes towards him more in love, he gets more fearful, thinking he's going to be swallowed up and he's going to lose all his independence. And so she has to, somehow or other, through her wisdom and her rightness, reassure him, no, it's all right, that's only the fear of your mother. Come on, I'm not your mother, I'm your lover, and I love you. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to give to love, as I am not afraid to give to you, except when I show that I am afraid and you can help me. Let us give. Let us give to love and get rid of these bogies and things inside of us. All right then. We have now come to the end of the afternoon. We have covered a wide range of subjects, and I did read that rather long letter, which I know is not an instantaneous or spontaneous communication to you. But the words of that letter, the energy of it, is in your body, in your natural ground. As it's gone through the years, it's in you. And as I say, if you are able to hear it over as the recording and keep playing it to your ears, you will get the idea of all the things that are in there. And you will be helped by the love that I have made. For what's the good of making love if I don't share what it gives me? And that's what happens here. I give you the love that I have made, which is the love that I am. And thank you all. Okay. That was just a wind up of the of the recording, right? So now I do like. Is it all right to go on for half an hour, Ian?
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay. I like to go on as long as we can, but then we've got certain contractual arrangements with the hotel. So.
I wonder if our ice maker might turn the ice machine.
Could you turn off the ice machine, please, Ian? Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
The ice maker. Yes, Gary.
Barry, if love is not made rightly between two people, then events in your life tend to be difficult. Is that something that is so? From what you were saying just previously, I got the impression that even if you make love rightly, these things are going to happen anyway.
They are going to happen anyway, but they allow you to face those because they've got to come up from the subconscious. The demons that are hidden down there, years and years of it, have got to be brought up from the subconscious so they can be faced. And that's why man and woman together bring up these demons in each other, which are hidden down there for years and years from mum and dad, from infancy, and they start to come up when love is made rightly. But the wonder is that the two people who are in partnership and love one another and have taken each other on, that when the demons come up, they are of the one purpose, that I want to free myself through loving you, and so that I can deal with this past in me. And she says the same thing. So we are of one purpose. And that allows us to get rid of those things. Now it does follow that if I am a man, but if I love a woman and do not take her on, or she does not want to be taken on, that's a different matter. But if I love a woman and don't take her on to deal with the emotions that are raised in her, then by my, let us say, promiscuity, by going along to another woman and doing the same there and leaving behind me a trail of emotions that because if I love her and penetrate deeply to her, I'm going to disturb her very much, and then I go on and on, or just come back now and again when it suits me. She's going to be troubled by those old things that come up, and they're not going to be in the past now. I will have brought them up to the surface, and there's no solution to it. So she gets more confused, and she's got to get more emotional and more mental to hold down that pain. And as for me, the man, I will get a momentum on me in not being true to love. I will get a momentum in me, and I won't be able to rest. I will get a restlessness that comes into me. I won't be able to settle into anything very much for very long. Because the first thing that I have to do as man, I must be true to love. And if I have loved a woman, and she wants it, and she's right, I will take her on. And that's why man and woman finally have to come together and address one another. Then they can make love that goes deeper and deeper, disturbing all the demons, until, let us say, the self, which is the subconscious, is cleaned out. Now I want to show you what cleaned out means. It does not mean that you get rid of all yourself. But it does mean that to begin with, the self or all these pains are fragmented. Making love rightly as two people starts to bring together all the fragments, first of all, into one mass. And that becomes an individuality. When they're scattered like that, you've only got a personality. And that's very unreliable and jumps here and there and everywhere and is unsure of itself, happy today, unhappy tomorrow. All this. Love brings, being union, brings all the fragments of unhappiness together. So at least you've got one thing to deal with. Usually to bring those fragments of unhappiness together requires great love. So a woman, to bring her own happiness together, the fragments, has to be loved by a man, so that when a woman loves, truly loves, she gives herself to the man. Means if he knows what he's doing, she gives up her fragments of unhappiness and brings them all together in union. He brings them together like that. She then loves him. Instead of thinking about that one mum and dad, instead of thinking about a job and the past lovers and all these fragments, he brings them together and says, my love brings it. I am responsible for all that, the whole lot of it, as long as you love me. Then, next thing that happens is, I'm talking about a man loving a woman, right? Next thing is, her individuality has got to go. Or, it's all non-aligned in here. All these fragments have come together. It's all over the place. What a man does, he doesn't take this individuality from her, but the individuality is misaligned. His love of her and his truth to love starts to straighten the lines out, so that instead of being all crossed like that, start to get straightened out more and more. The more her lines get straightened, her individual lines get straightened, the less she is independent. For the only way that you can protect your individuality is by independence. I'm all right. I can do it. By strength of my will, by strength of my willfulness, by my mental, I don't care, I'm strong. That's misalignment. So as he straightens her out with man's love, which what man's love is for, he straightens herself. He gets her straight with his love. She then gives up her independence, and she becomes a real individual, a woman of love, a woman of truth. And the more she becomes a woman of love, the more she is straight, and therefore she is able to speak the truth, to be the truth. The more she's able to do that, she's more able to be a woman of love. A woman of love has joy in her, for joy is natural to woman. So as herself gets straight, joy starts to arise in her system, which is what she is anyway, in her love, and truth starts to come from her. And she also knows what she does not want. For when there is truth in woman, she is able to see clearly what she does not want of man. So that's what love of man does for her.
That's the virtue.
Pardon?
That's the virtue.
That's the virtue. That's the virtue. Yes, thanks for reminding me. I was going to talk about making love and virtue. Now it takes a virtuous man to do that. A noble man, what I call a noble man. But man is noble. He is a noble creature. That's why woman loves him. And woman is love. And she's love itself, pure love. So when you get nobility and love together, well, it's a perfect combination. Each taking responsibility. She knowing what she does not want, meaning his moods, dishonesty, avoidance, restlessness, all the rest, because he doesn't know what he wants. Man must know what he wants. And then she's at ease. It's when man doesn't know what he wants, is it not, woman? Doesn't that upset you? You have a look at it. When he doesn't know what he wants. A confused man is terrible for you when he doesn't know what he wants. You'll get emotional with him. You mightn't know why you're getting emotional, but he's not the man that you know is the man. Because a real man is not confused. He knows what he wants by knowing what he does not want. And then he has what he wants because he knows what he doesn't want, and so does she. Yes?
I'm a bit confused when you say get rid of individuality. What do you mean by that?
Right. Most people are not individuals. Most people have fragmented hurts and pains. They have a personality and they have independence, but they are not yet individuals. Individuality is an evolutionary thing that the human race has not achieved very widely yet. So the human race consists of personalities. Personalities held together by mentation, by thinking you're something, by holding together like that, fragments of yourself. So therefore a personality has got to put on a smile when it's unhappy, because it's afraid of being seen to be unhappy, or it puts on unhappiness to get attention, to get love, to get sympathy, because it shows a lack of individuality. And then it shows independence by saying, well, I don't care, when obviously you do care, and it's only your mental personality that's holding you together. Mum and Dad are often a good example of that. Dad's sexually frustrated, so he's got something over there. He can't be honest to his children because he's sexually frustrated, so he's fragmented over there. She can't be honest to the children because she's trying to cook a good meal for everybody and make everybody happy through material ways instead of being honest to them and talking to them about what it is to make love, what it is to be a real woman, how you deal with man who is sexually frustrated, who's dishonest, lying to himself, lying to woman. You know, that's a real woman, isn't it? But Mum, well, Mum herself is sexually frustrated, sexually unfulfilled because Dad's sexually frustrated. Because he wouldn't be sexually frustrated if she was fulfilled. So she gives up on it because she's sick and tired of what he puts into her, and his unhappiness, and his moods, and his complaining, and his blaming and accusing, or his wimpishness that he's afraid of her to take her on. That's all personality, and they all get in a dreadful mess, and they don't sort anything out. To become an individual, you have to pull yourself together. You've got to address these errant areas of yourself. You have to see that the dislike of your love, of your work, is based on unhappiness. Why are you in the work if it makes you unhappy? Are you going for the personal idea of making money so that you can be unhappy? See, an immature person works for the money, which makes them unhappy. If they just work for the money and aren't unhappy, that's fine. But they do all these things, contradictions, all the time. They go to be with woman because she relieves them of some sexual imagination that they need her. So they go and be with a woman to use her, to masturbate in her, and then come away and say, that's great. I mean, that's a real fragmentation, not an individual at all. That man is not an individual because he's terrified of woman. The only way for him to get rid of that is to love a woman, a real live woman in front of him, and put himself on the line. Nothing like that to make him an individual. To collect all his hurts where he's afraid of mum, or how to be level with mum. He's got to bring that in. Bring them all in. Afraid of dad. Trying to be something that he's not. He's got to bring that in. Until all this unhappiness is one, forms one. And usually it takes a woman or a man to do that to each other. And a real woman or a man or someone who's responsible.
Why is it when you said that the woman shouldn't want independence? I don't understand that either.
Well, no woman really wants to be independent. She only wants to be independent to protect her fear of love. She only wants to be independent when she's with a man that does not love her. Woman otherwise is love and giving. All she wants to be is loved. All you want to do is to be loved. That's all you want. You're not worried about money. You're not worried about accommodation, anything. All you truly want, if you're a woman, is for a man to love me, truly love me. And I'm not talking about coming and going. I'm talking about a man who truly loves you, where you feel, you say, you love me, man. Now, a man who truly loves you looks after you, cares for you in extraordinary ways that might not fit the normal personality idea of it, of chocolates and those sort of things. But when a woman says to a man, you truly love me, man, that's a woman that is starting to be individual, that's giving up her independence, because she doesn't have to be independent when she's loved. She gives everything. And a man who's a man takes it all without taking anything. Is that true? Is that true? You only have to be independent when you're not loved enough. Isn't that true? Then you've got to go your way. And you've got to show that it doesn't matter.
I think I was probably thinking in a different way. I was thinking about not wanting to be too much of a burden.
To whom?
To your partner, not to...
How could you possibly be a burden to me if I love you? For God's sake, woman, if I love you, how could you possibly be a burden to me? I love you. Do you know what that means? I love you. You can't be a burden to me, woman. I love you. Two different words, you see. Absolutely. If I love you, and you love me, there's nothing you can do that is a burden to me. As long as you are loving me, I will take your burden out of you. I will relieve you of your burden, because that's my job as man. But you have to love me to give me the power to do that. And that's why a woman's got to know what she doesn't want. She doesn't want a man who doesn't love her enough. But it's all right. In every moment, you can look at your man and say, well, he does love me enough. Enough for now is enough for now, as long as he's loving more and doing his best to get rid of his lack of love. Thank you, Ian. All right? So that's not putting anything on a man. Every man's doing his best as every woman is. But if a man's not doing his best, then a woman knows, and she has to, without being emotional, as that letter said, she's got to say, look, do you want to be with me or don't you? Because that shows me that you perhaps don't want to be with me. Because that'll make her very unhappy if the man doesn't want to be with her and saying he does. So she's got to get it straight with him. And man's amazing. You start being straight with him, he's got this nobility in him. He's really looking for a real woman. Is that all right? Oh, that's the way. Yeah, a lovely smile on you now. You see, I've been talking to my love in you. See, woman is my love. And I can talk to woman, and any woman who's willing and open and ready to hear me. And then she starts to smile. That's a lovely story, isn't it? But you know whether that's true. Good. Okay then. End of the afternoon. And thank you for being with me. We seem to have answered a lot of questions about love and man and woman, and that's all that's here, is it? I can't see anything here but man and woman, can you? Right. The most important thing on earth is man and woman and the love and honesty between us. So let's address that as much as we can, knowing that if everybody's doing their best, the question is, can I do a little bit better this moment? Thank you.
You are listening to the Barry Long audio, Physical Love and the Noble Man, formerly titled Gold Coast Talk, April 1993. For more information, visit www.barrylong.org.